Hi, I'm Mary Kopczynski, the CEO of Regulators. Welcome to this week's Regulatory Roundup, where I share the most interesting of the 2,864 alerts from last week. And believe it or not, this week we are going to crack the biggest bottle of champagne ever because our user interface is about to hit 100,000 alerts. You will, of course, only see the alerts in the sector you subscribe to. But for us crazy regulatory junkies, we see it all. So congrats to the entire Regulatics team, and thank you especially to the research team that makes it work every single day. The regulator of the week is Connecticut. The insurance commissioner announced another year of growth in captive insurers domiciled in Connecticut. And I thought to myself, what on earth is captive insurance? And then I Googled it and I thought to myself, is that really legal? Turns out you can actually create a company to insure your own company. The topic of the week, of course, is my favorite, romance. Happy Valentine's Day next week to all of you. This week, the CFTC, the CFPB, ICE, the Postal Office, and FinCEN decided to commemorate romance by hosting Dating or Defrauding, a national awareness effort to alert the public to romance scams that target victims largely through dating apps or social media. Way to kill the romance. Oh, but it gets even better. In England, the United Kingdom announced the inaugural meeting of the UK Menopause Task Force. The task force will tackle issues surrounding the menopause, as it is known in England, I am told, including increasing access to treatment and ending taboos and stigmas. This week, the company Giggles and Hugs was delisted from the stock exchange because they didn't file their annual regulatory reports. So, you were looking for love in the regulatory feed this week? Well, I will give you this. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, their fleet of advanced satellites are essential for predicting weather and climate. And last year, they also helped rescue 330 people from potentially life-threatening situations throughout the United States and its surrounding waters. Now that is true love. On to Compliance Corner. Big news this week with FSOC. Gary Gensler, the chairman of the SEC, spoke to the Financial Stability Oversight Council. And between Archegos Capital and the whole GameStop debacle, these regulators are focused on mostly the unregulated asset management space. Gensler explained what the SEC is considering in the money market space, the open-end bond fund space, and of course, hedge funds, which we discussed last week with Form PF. Many of you I know have been watching changes to the Community Reinvestment Act. I suggest you attend the National Interagency Community Reinvestment Conference on March 15th through the 17th. The 3 federal bank regulatory agencies and the Federal Reserve Banks of Chicago and San Francisco are hosting. Also, in Europe, ESMA wrote the European Commission a letter of concern about the unregulated nature of ESG ratings. I foresee that becoming a bigger and bigger focus area in the coming years. Also, weird news this week. Turns out a small fintech company managed to obtain access to the Fed's payment system, and it's ruffling a lot of feathers, including in the Senate. So I'm sure we're going to hear more about that unauthorized access in the coming days. For those of you following climate, the Bank of England and the PRA are organizing a conference in Q4 of 2022 on climate change and capital. The Louisiana Department of Health will receive $1.2 million over 5 years from the CDC and the Occupational Safety and Health Association to protect Louisiana from extreme heat. Maryland is trying to pass a bill that would require the fiduciary of the state retirement and pension system to consider certain climate risks on the system's assets. Pennsylvania has been awarded over $200 million from the infrastructure bill to clean up abandoned mines. For those of you following crypto, New Jersey is the latest state to introduce a bill concerning virtual currency and blockchain. And finally, the Monetary Authority of Singapore released 5 white papers about the responsible use of AI by financial institutions. I would not miss them if I were you. That's it this week for Regalytics. We have the most comprehensive, coherent, and customizable regulatory alerts tool in the world. Come and see why company after company is transforming their compliance with this kind of transparency. See you next Wednesday.